Good morning, Bulldogs. It is Friday, June 4th, 2021. We are officially in National Pride Month. It is National Cheese Day, and if you are like me, I eat a ton of cheese. So I will definitely be enjoying cheese today, probably on pizza, to be honest. Today is our very last video lesson. On Monday and Tuesday, you have comps, and then Wednesday's field day, which I encourage all of you to come to. It's a drive-through, so we won't have busing, so you'll have to get a ride, but you'll definitely be missing out if you don't show up. And it's an opportunity for you to turn in your Chromebook, play some games, get some food, and say bye to your favorite teachers. Until next year. Today we are going to review frequently missed questions on the practice test you took on Wednesday, and then you'll have an opportunity to take it again. I asked you on Wednesday to really take that practice test seriously. It's very clear that some of you didn't. It's very clear that many of you didn't watch the video to know how important it is. So there are quite a few that we're going to go over, but what I really did was I went through and to specific students where I know that they really put their best effort in, and then they missed questions. Those questions that were commonly missed, I chose to put in the review today. So we'll go over some of those quickly, and then and I'll explain those, and then you will take the practice test again. That's your last opportunity. Also, be reminded that after you take the practice quiz, it's going to tell you all the questions you missed and give you the right answer so that you can analyze and figure out what you did wrong, so that on Tuesday, because my test is Tuesday morning, you will be able to properly answer the question. Let's get started. All right, so for our do now today, I just want to know, and I know some of you guys will be like, I don't care about this right now because we do this in all the other classes, and I just want to like get this done and get to, it's Friday, I want to get to whatever I'm doing. But I do want to know what is one positive memory that you have from the school year. A lot of you are, well, you are all at home, and so I didn't get to see you in the building at all. So some of these conversations happened at school, and I didn't get to hear those responses in person. So I'd just like to see them in your response slides. So go ahead and pause and do that. All right, let's review. Let's get through this. All right. So the first question that was frequently missed was that during the medieval period in Europe, the political power for kings and great nobles were often constrained. Constrained means held back. So the powers of kings and nobles were often held back by the actions of who? Parliaments, middle class, high church officials, or organized groups of serfs. So to answer this question, you really have to think about the tug of war between the two most powerful groups during this time. It was the kings and nobles, and then thinking about the Reformation and the Renaissance, who was really battling for power? Who was trying to figure out who had the most power? And that would be the high church officials. So the church and the kings and nobles were kind of doing this tug of war of, I have more power, no, I have more power. And so when the kings and nobles would try and do things, the high church officials would often step in and say that they should not be doing that. This timeline shows events related to so we see the signing of the Magna Carta, and then the Habeas Corpus Act. The other two we haven't really specifically talked about, but if you remember what habeas corpus means and what Magna Carta was, you should be able to answer this question. The Magna Carta was a document that King John was forced to sign that meant that he had to follow the rule of law, which means he could not crazily tax the nobles, and that he actually had to follow the laws himself. He couldn't just do whatever he wanted. And then the Habeas Corpus Act meant that no one could, or everyone had the right to a trial by jury, and no one could be like secretly arrested. Everything had to be public record, and everything, all trials had to have a jury with them, and not just the king and the defendant. So because of that, we know that our timeline shows the events related to the evolution towards constitutional government in England, meaning no more absolute monarchy, people have rights, and the king can't just do whatever he wants, like hold these secret arrests, hold these secret trials, or just do whatever he wants, hence the Magna Carta. Which of the following was a major result of the Crusades? So we know through the Crusades that the Europeans traveled to the Middle East and traveled across that distance by land. So they came across a lot of different goods and spices. And so when they came back, they brought those goods and spices with them and created a new demand for those spices. And so this then creates the major result of the development of new economic interests in Europe, because now people have other things that they want to buy besides what was just available to them before. Which of the following is not a characteristic of Renaissance paintings? So we know that during this time we see a shift from simply sacred art to secular art. And secular means what? Non-religious. So what we see in Renaissance paintings is we do not see the subject matter limited to Christian themes. We see people broadening out, hence the Mona Lisa is not religious at all. It's completely a secular painting. So before, during Middle Ages, art was strictly limited to Christian themes, and we see that artists are branching out now. What was the Spanish Inquisition? So this occurred after the Crusades. Remember, people were trying to find people that were not Christian or were going against the church, questioning them, often torturing them, and punishing them. And so one thing, if you aren't sure, is if you see the word Inquisition, when you are inquisitive, you question a lot of things. Or if you participate in inquiry, you're asking questions. So the Catholic religious court was established to find and punish heretics. Which conclusion regarding early European settlement is best supported by information on the map? This goes with some European exploration, but it's also primarily a really good map skill question. You really have to look at the key to determine the answer, and it's not blatantly obvious. You have to really analyze it. So in which conclusion regarding early European settlement? We see that Spanish settlement is primarily in Mexico. It really dominates Mexico and Central America, Spanish settlement. And then we see it all along this west coast of South America. And then we see Portuguese settlement here, just this little bit here by Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So, for A, it says Portugal became the dominant colonial power in South America by 1600. Well, Portugal has just this little sliver, so A is automatically out. Geography made the interior of South America easy to explore. So if you look here, we see that Spain is really limited because what are these little triangles indicative of? Mountains. So they were really kind of trapped in here, and the rivers kind of stopped them from, well, I guess that's not accurate. But in the middle of South America, we have a lot of rainforest, so it's primarily going to inhibit them from exploring. So that's out. Neither the Spanish nor the Portuguese developed major urban centers in Latin America. That the map doesn't even tell us, so that's out. So that means our answer is in 1600, much of the land in South America was not settled by Europeans, and that is accurate. You cannot pay attention to Mexico or Central America. We're simply talking about the continent of South America. You see the Portuguese have a little bit, the Spanish have this coast, but a majority of South America is not settled. What was an immediate result of the age of exploration? This one you have to really think about. What happened when Europeans showed up to the Western Hemisphere? So we have nothing to do with Islam because we know that Europe was primarily Christian. Nothing to do with Asia and Africa because they didn't go there. And they went to North America or Central America, so military dictatorships were not established through Europe. So that only leaves one. And it's kind of an obvious answer if you really think about it. European influence spread to the West. They showed up, they brought things with them. This European influence shows up with them. This one, again, you have to think about, and you have to take your kind of, I mean, to me, but I've been teaching this forever, to me this is kind of like a no-brainer answer, but how did Portuguese and Spanish exploration affect Africans? Obviously, we know that due to Spanish and Portuguese exploration, we start to see triangular trade or the slave trade begin. Slaves were brought over to help colonize and to help grow sugar and other crops, so Africans were enslaved. So you really want to think about the word affect Africans, exploration, affect Africans. Don't get tripped up on Portuguese in Spain. Worry about exploration, affect Africans. The new learning of the Renaissance was characterized by an emphasis on. We did not talk about theology, and theology is the study of religion. So we know that we're getting a little bit more secular here, so that would not be relevant. We didn't really talk about realism at all. So that really only leaves one answer, and that would be C, humanism, individualism, and secularism, which I was really surprised that a lot of people missed this question because we spent so many days on these three topics. Secular music of the Renaissance was intended for what type of audience? Select all that apply. This was kind of a trick question. It's all of them. Secular music, again, was non-religious. The middle class used it for entertainment. The upper class used it for entertainment. Kings used it for entertainment. And patrons obviously paid musicians to write that music for them. What piece of evidence best supports the claim that Italy was the birthplace of the Renaissance? The answer is going to be B. Italy had all that was needed for wealthy urban centers. A wealthy merchant class accumulating more wealth would make that the. Oh, you know what? That is incorrect. Don't. It's actually A. I'm sorry. So sorry. So sorry. A. 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 My fault. My bad. We must get back to the fundamentals of man. Man, what is he and what has he done? Ceriples clearly lays this out in Anthems when he says, "For him who reads the heroes of old, he himself will become wise. We must challenge our minds by renewing them with the minds of the greats." The source above describes the philosophy of the Renaissance called humanism. Again, renewing them with the minds of the greats. So getting back to that Greek and Roman culture. Also, we really didn't talk about. These are all pretty much Reformation. These two are Reformation and scientific revolution, and this goes back to Japan and China, which we didn't even talk about this trimester. So what I want you to do now is I want you to go back on to Edulastic and take that practice test again. Again, when you are done, please, please, please look at the questions you missed and what the correct answers are and go back. I think I'm going to edit it so you can take it more than once. So please, please, please take advantage of that opportunity so that you can do the best you can on Tuesday and get as much extra credit as you can. So with that, I just want to say it's been a great year with you guys. I know it's been tough, but it has been a pleasure teaching you and getting to know you and getting to know your strengths through your lessons. And I will see you all next year, and hopefully, hopefully, hopefully I will see you at field day. I hope I see you at field day. Come to field day. All right. Bye, guys.